This week in wrestling headlines, plenty of lineup changes to discuss. And if you're wondering what the deal is with Brady Berge, then let's stop stalling and start talking wrestling. What's going on, wrestling fans? My name's Josiah, and welcome to the Fanco Wrestling YouTube channel for this week's segment of Wrestling Headlines. And while it has been a little bit of a slow news cycle, I do want to fill you in on some of the major things that have been happening over the past week, including the news that Brady Berge will be stepping away from competition. This is so unfortunate for the Nittany Lion, the 157-pounder at Penn State. He announced on Twitter on April 7th, he said, "Throughout the years, this sport has brought me to the mountaintops, but also has thrown me down and hit me in the gut a few times. Due to concussions and my own health, it is in my best interest to step away from competition. Although I am done competing, I will still be around the sport I love that has given me so much." So it's kind of, we're not sure what exactly that means by the fact that he's going to stay around the sport, whether he's going to try to go on to coach, try to help out with other things on or off the mat. It's unfortunate, though, that he's not going to be competing. And you saw that in his quarterfinal loss, his injury default loss to Jesse De La Vecchia, who ended up making the national finals at 157. And, I mean, who knows what could have happened in that match, because Berge was coming off of a win over Iowa's Caleb Young. So unfortunate that this happened to Brady Berge. I mean, you kind of saw the devastation, just how upset he was when he knew he was going to have to injury default out of the tournament. He knew he wasn't going to be able to achieve his goals that year of becoming a national champion. And it's such a shame that his career has just been so plagued with injury. So if you're wondering who's going to be at 157 next year for Penn State, it's looking like the candidate is going to be Matt Lee, the freshman, who is the youngest of the Lee brothers, Nick and Joe Lee. And it's, you know, I just really do feel bad for Brady Berge, but best of luck to him moving forward in the future. And speaking of crazy lineup changes, all of the Iowa Hawkeyes, all 10 of them, will be returning for the upcoming season. Now, a couple of those, it's not really surprising that they're returning, considering they aren't even seniors yet. And actually, Iowa has a crazy amount of seniors on the team next year. Some of them will be returning, some of them maybe not returning, but all 10 are returning for this upcoming season. The final Hawkeye, in Michael Kemerer, the final senior, I should say, made his announcement on Twitter that he is returning for a 7th year with a very funny, I mean, one of my favorite announcement videos. There have been seniors doing all these type of announcements saying that they are coming back, and we'll get to another one in this next upcoming segment. But Michael Kemerer is just saying, like, it's taking him 7 years to finish college. He's coming back for his 7th year. Of course, one of his years, he had an injury. He had a redshirt year, and now this is his 7th year of eligibility. But Kemerer, the 3-time All-American, the national finalist, will be returning to 174 pounds, as well as his teammates Jaden Ironman, Alex Marinelli, and Spencer Lee, who did make that announcement a couple of weeks ago that they would be returning to the mat. So that means 8 out of 10 Hawkeyes will be seniors next year. Now, eligibility is a bit weird and wonky, and you're really going to have to pay attention to, okay, they're a senior, but they still may have another year of eligibility. And some of those guys who are going to be actually still eligible out of those 8 out of 10 guys, Max Murin is still able to come back after next season. Nelson Brands, Jacob Warner, and Anthony Cassiope. So yeah, the Iowa Hawkeyes will be losing a lot of guys next year, but I mean, they've got another stacked team for the upcoming season. And speaking of, you know, I mentioned Michael Kemerer at 174. Did you know there's another guy going 174 pounds, and that's Hayden Hidlay? And I'll talk about Hayden in just a second, but the NC State Wolfpack has been making these announcements via Twitter with Tariq Wilson, Hayden Hidlay, and one of the Bullard brothers, as well as Nick Reed. And each of these guys will be returning for the upcoming season with their senior year of eligibility left. Tariq Wilson, I mean, and Hayden Hidlay, both these guys are actually bumping up a weight, which it will be very interesting to see. Tariq Wilson made a great run at the national tournament this year, ended up taking 3rd, beating Sebastian Rivera, remember, at 141 for 3rd and 4th. I think he majored him. I mean, pretty darn good. But it's going to be really interesting now. I mean, assuming that Austin O'Connor stays the same weight next year at 149, him and Tariq Wilson going at it for an ACC title could be exciting. There's been rumors that maybe he bumps up to 57. I don't know how true those are, but I would love to see those two go at it. who that'd probably be his best competition in the ACC in a couple of years. Bryce Andonian for Virginia Tech also at 49 could be interesting to see. And then with the rest of the NCAA with Sammy Sasso, Yaya Thomas, Max Murin could be exciting. But the one that I'm really excited for is Hidlay. I mean, you see this graphic NC State put out about the Brothers of Destruction. At 74 and 84, you have Hayden and Trent back to back. Hayden, the 3-time All-American and former NCAA finalist, unfortunately not this year, when he did take 5th, which obviously is not what he wanted, and maybe this is the change that he needs to make. So who's at 174? Yeah, we're likely going to get, at some point, at least I hope, the Hayden Hidlay and Michael Kemerer rematch. These two wrestled during Hayden's freshman year. He actually was redshirting that year, and Kemerer was his redshirt freshman year, is when the last time these two wrestled. I think it was at Midlands or something, but it was a very close match score when Kemerer got the better of him. Also with Srirachi, the national champion, returning, Mikey Labriola, Demetrius Romero. This is going to be a stacked weight at 174 pounds next year. And Hayden, has another couple interesting things coming up because he could be a 5-time ACC champion. Other seniors returning are Thomas Bullard and Nick Reenan. Thomas is the Bullard brother at 165. His brother Daniel at 74 is not returning, and that's why Hayden is able to now bump up to 174 pounds. And then the next bit of wrestling headlines news is that Illinois head coach Jim Heffernan is retiring. It's always interesting to see what happens in the offseason with coaches who decide to come back, coaches who retire, coaches who change up. But after 12 years as head coach and almost 30 years at Illinois, he said the decision to retire has been challenging to say the least, but I feel great about the current group and the future of the program. Forever grateful, appreciative, and proud to have been an Illinois Athletics, ILL. That is from Illinois Athletics, who, listen, Illinois, what a great year they had. They finished top 10 in the NCAA the last 13 different occasions is when Illinois finished in the top 10. This year they were a top 20 finish. They finished their dual meet season 5-3 with big wins over Ohio State, Purdue, Northwestern, 2 All-Americans in Dylan Duncan and Lucas Bird. And hopefully, all the Illinois wrestlers will return for the upcoming season. This is a little bit different of a situation than if Heffernan would have left Illinois and went somewhere else, where you probably would have seen a lot of current Illinois wrestlers following him. But now that he's retiring, I think you're going to see a lot of the Illinois guys stay. You never know, but Heffernan is somebody who he's been a great Big Ten coach. You see what he did this year, but just in his career, as I said, 13 top 10 finishes in the NCAA championships. He coached 215 national qualifiers, 73 All-Americans, and 11 NCAA champions, and including Aymar, Tony Delago, Alex Terapelli, Jesse Delgado. What a great resume that Heffernan has, and I hope to see Illinois continue to do well even without him at the helm. What do you think Illinois is going to do? And what do you think of the rest of these wrestling headlines? I know like I said, there hasn't been a crazy ton going on, but make sure you stay tuned to the channel, subscribe to the channel so you're updated on the latest going on in wrestling headlines. Depending on how things go over the next couple weeks, the wrestling headlines may become a bi-weekly segment in the offseason. Wanted to let you know about that. And if you have any comments about that, make sure you drop that down below. I'll talk to you soon.